T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff.
Live from somewhere deep in the Freedom State of Florida, it's the Let's Be Frank Show with your host, Frank.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm glad you guys are joining me for another edition of our Freedom Stream on Tuesday night. And joining me all the way from the most mediocre state in the union, its initials are just okay. It's Jason. Hey, welcome, Jason.
Welcome. Good to be back. Good to be back. Let's get rolling.
Yeah, let's get rolling. Quick, couple of housekeeping things real quick. We are only going to be an hour tonight, so we're only going to 11 p.m. tonight. If you notice on there is a goal that I like to try to hit with you guys, 5 super chats. And you guys, I will open up the show to you guys to ask whatever questions you want on air for the final 15 minutes of the show. So if you are interested in doing that, let's get those super chats rolling. You can also help support the channel through membership. We have 19 of 50 memberships that we are currently seeking to hit on the channel. This helps keep the lights on, helps keep the internet rolling, and helps keep some food in my baby's mouths. Anyway, hey, welcome back, Jason. We are headed into some awesome stories that we have. And the first one, of course, is one of those stories that have been in the news now for the last few months, the AutoPen scandal that continues to give more and more information. We have that story. We also have the horrendous story out of Florida on the highway where an illegal Indian, not the kind, but the red dot kind, that caused a pileup on the interstate I-75 that caused 3 deaths of U.S. citizens here in the nation, and how that actually took place. We'll take a look at that story. And we have a few others like invasion in Venezuela. What did you say? I guess we are going to make Venezuela America along with the rest of the Americas down below. And Jason will speak a little bit about that a little bit down the road as we get closer to that. But if you are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that share button. Let's go ahead and dive in. Jason, let's take a look at this first story that we have right here coming out of the Gateway Pundit. In its newly released emails revealed Joe Biden's own DOJ red flag thousands of last-minute AutoPen pardons. Jason, you know this story that has been continuing to be in the news, especially with the AutoPen scandal. Who was using the AutoPen? It most obviously was not Joe Biden doing it. How bad is the scandal, and how bad is this may result in any type of action, do you believe, against members of Biden's administration? Maybe not Joe Biden himself, but maybe some low-level individuals within the administration. Do you think Pam Bondi, Kash Patel have the cojones to go after this stuff?
Absolutely not. They don't have any cojones to do anything. All they want to do is release information of things that are 40 and 50 years old. They don't want to handle things that are going on today. Screw them and screw the Trump administration. They're not going to do anything. They're going to talk big and not walk at all. I'm disgusted with the AutoPen thing. The real scandal isn't about the AutoPen. The actual scandal is who was actually running the country.
White House. Yeah, the country.
This is the real question people aren't asking. Look, pardon them all. I don't care. I'm completely over the pardons. What I really want to know is who was making the day-to-day decisions going on in America during the Biden administration. The people did not vote for anyone else but Joe Biden. So the person who should be running the country is Joe Biden. And the cabinet members who refused to invoke the 29th
Amendment?
The 25th Amendment?
I thought it was the 25th.
Yeah, maybe the 25th, whatever amendment it is for incompetency. Okay, all those people should be charged, but of course, nothing is going to happen because heaven forbid anyone be held accountable. But I want to know who was actually running the country. I think that's the real story.
Who do you think was running the country, Jason?
Honestly, chief staff.
Chief of staff.
Yeah.
Making all the day-to-day decisions within the White House, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Because when it comes down to it, no one wanted to trust Kamala, or however the heck you say her name.
Yeah, so part of the story here says newly released emails released by the DOJ official Ed Martin revealed Joe Biden's own Justice Department red flagged the thousands of last-minute auto-pen pardons. Earlier this year, it was revealed Ed Martin was probing Joe Biden's pardons. I don't know about probing. Pardons amid the growing auto-pen scandal. The Oversight Project broke the story about the auto-pen scandal wide open after they discovered thousands of acts of clemency and executive actions were signed with an auto-pen rather than a wet signature. And many of these individuals here that are in this. There was a second frequently used auto-pen signature for Joe Biden's pardons and communications. Auto-pen A and auto-pen B have slightly differences in the signatures. And of course, Biden officials such as Neera Tanden, Jeff Zients, Stephanie Feldman, and others were involved in the auto-pen scandal. The New York Times recently reviewed some of the emails that the National Archives handed over to Trump DOJ as part of their investigation into the auto-pen scandal. The emails reveal that Biden staffers made decisions to sign the pardons with the auto-pen without directly hearing from the orders from Joe Biden. It was also revealed that Joe Biden did not approve of each name for the pardons, and after changes were made about specific inmates, Biden did not sign off on the revised list. Rather, his aides just ran a final version through the auto-pen without Biden's approval. Now this. Biden's own DOJ warned that last-minute auto-pen pardons of cop killers and child murderers was legally flawed. The Washington Times reported that top Justice Department officials warned Biden administration that thousands of last-minute pardons signed with the auto-pen were legally flawed and went against President Biden's intentions by granting clemency to violent offenders who murdered children and police officers. Associate Deputy Attorney General Bradley Weissheimer criticized highly problematic language used in a single warrant signed by the auto-pen that pardons hundreds of criminals in the final days of the Biden administration. According to the January 18th email reviewed by the Washington Times, Mr. Weissheimer, writing to top Biden administration lawyers 2 days before Biden left office, said that wording of the pardons offenses were too vague and could render the communications ineffective. The lack of specificity could also result in communications in circumstances, including for crimes of violence that was not intended, he warned. He also noted that the Justice Department was blocking from playing any role in vetting the candidates for clemency and said the White House granted some pardons despite voluminous objections from the victims' families. And of course, as you mentioned about the chief of staff, also aides that were in the White House were also running the auto-pen. Would you go out on the limbs, Jason, and say maybe they were using the auto-pen for pay for play?
I don't know if it's for pay for play. We'd have to see some actual evidence for that. But when it comes down to
what's your gut say? That's what
So honestly, no. These are a bunch of ideological idiots. When it comes down to it, what I really see the problem is DOJ says, oh, it's not, it was legally flawed. No, I hate to break this to you, but all presidential pardons, there is no legal anything to it. It's just constitutional. I hate to break it to you, but if the president actually signs off on a pardon, it doesn't matter why. However, since the president didn't sign off on these pardons should be null and voided. Those who were released from prison should be returned. And those who were given clemency, which the only one that he actually signed was for his son.
Yes.
So that would be the Fauci-Ouchie guy, the J6 committee, all that immunity that was handed out is null and void. And we got a place for you just down the road called Alligator Alcatraz. I think we'll send you there because Club Fed is too good for you.
Club Fed is too good. I was thinking about this. I wonder if there's any other instances within his time in office that was the auto pen was used for other important matters. Would
Oh,
those
I'm sure it
still-
was. I'm sure it was used without his express consent for all kinds of things, including some executive orders. Look, during the Biden administration, all the content creators who were on the more conservative side basically was asking the question, why is this potato in charge? If you couldn't tell that this guy was not only incontinent but incompetent, that spoke more about you and your lack of objectivity. I question everything that the Biden administration did for its legitimacy.
Yeah, and obviously there was a lot of the whole presidency of the Biden administration was problematic in many areas. Foreign policy, domestic policy, it was a crap show from the very beginning. And of course, that was what many people were screaming about at the time, saying, hey, there's no way 81 million Americans voted for this because we know the problems of mail-in voting and what that caused, especially compounded with the COVID virus that was all out there during the 2020 election that helped make that much easier to feed ballots into mailboxes.
Yeah.
And so that's how we ended up with Joe Biden for 4 years.
Definitely.
And Jason, with this auto pen scandal, of course, Congress is doing their whole spew of, we're going to investigate, as you mentioned before. I want results. And if you're going to, put this out here, great. But we already knew a lot of this information, as Jason mentioned before. I want to see action. If you're not going to have action, then what's the point of bringing this information further to light if there is no action behind it?
Well, and I don't even want Congress doing the investigation because...
Well, no, that's what I'm talking about. I know Congress is running their own investigation. That won't result in anything outside of sound bites. But the DOJ is the one that has this information. If you're not going to produce any substantive consequence for this, then there's no point of even talking about it.
Thank you.
And sharing it with mainstream, with media, or with influencers or whatever. I'm reporting on this just because I know it's in the news, and obviously I'm giving my opinion on it.
Yeah. It's all smoke and mirrors to deflect from other things that are going on. Look, bring something of substance or don't bring anything at all. That's the best way to go.
Absolutely. And this story, again, it's going to continue to float around. You're going to continue to see the influencers that are on the right continue to run this, and they're going to continue to gaslight you, talking to you about these guys are going to go to prison. And if that's what they have to do to make a buck, I guess that's what they have to do to make a buck. I hope they sleep well at night by shoveling that kind of turds out there for people to consume, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't think you guys are a bunch of turd eaters. So hopefully we're not consuming the turds that are being thrown out to us and making us, yay, look at this, and more so focused on what is happening behind the scenes. I suspect, Sparky, there was some movement in the FBI in the last couple of days, and I suspect that Dan Bongino will not be with the FBI past the end of the year. I think he's going to be heading back to the podcasting realm. I just don't believe I think the change that he thought he was going to be able to bring was really stalled out pretty quickly behind the bureaucracy of what the FBI is. They brought in the co-deputy director for the first time in history of the FBI. And it's not because we're going to be prosecuting more crimes. The FBI doesn't prosecute crimes. That's the DOJ.
Yeah.
And so people like Julie Kelly is out here feeding turd sandwiches to people. And I think this is a way that Kash is helping Dan kind of slide out the back door by the end of the year. Get this guy caught up with all the, whatever is happening within the Bureau. And, hey, thanks for being part of it. We'll see you a little later. Best wishes to you.
Yeah, I think Dan Bongino's best bet would be to save some credibility for himself and say, this isn't what I signed up for, and go back to making the millions upon millions that he was making. He was taking a huge pay cut. That's why I fully supported him going over as deputy director. I thought it would have been a great thing for him. It just showed the dedication that he has to the country, service to the people themselves. But when he sees things that he doesn't like, he should step away. And
he did mention that. He said that he saw a lot of stuff inside there that really, kind of shook him. But in his position, he was unable to move anything noteworthy to, address those things, I suppose.
Well, the deal is I blame Kash Patel for this. Kash talks a big game, but he doesn't really play.
He writes a lot of big checks that don't cash.
Yeah. And the fact that they brought in a red flag Bondi, I do not like. I do not like Pam Bondi. It was a bad choice.
I have not been able to. It's been really hard for me to decipher that from you, Jason. The last two.
Yeah.
How do you really feel about her, Jason?
Look, I would have rather ran Matt Gaetz with his oversized head and his little body, even with the issues that he may or may not have had. By the way, they didn't exist, because if they really did, they would have prosecuted him for it. It's just Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz was the peanut in the turd. He was disturbing people's poop, and they can't have that. And well, Kash, he'll disturb your poop, but he won't stop you up like Matt Gaetz will. So that's why him and Pam Bondi were a little bit more acceptable.
Was that poop joke just because he's Indian?
No. Wait, he's Indian? Oh, wait, he is Indian. I didn't even think about that. That's how little I care about race. Damn. Patel.
And here, Jason, I thought that was a multi-level joke that you were kind of laying out there.
I am just. But yeah, he is a descendant of street poopers. So hey, there it is.
That was hilarious. I crack myself up sometimes.
There you go, man. It's good times. Good times.
It's good times. So let me go ahead and get this real quick. I want to talk about this since we were talking about poop artist. Let me go ahead and shift over gears a little bit over to this story. Have you followed the story at all?
Not at
Jason,
all.
About the semi-driver out in Florida that got a CDL license in California. They greenlit it there in California, but this company then went ahead and hired him, knowing that he was also not supposed to be here in this country legally. Have you any knowledge of the story?
I haven't heard of this story, but here's the deal. From what I know, I have some friends that work in the trucking and the logistics industry. There is a huge shortage. If you really want to make money right now, open road trucking is something that you can do. You can find a buddy you like. Y'all go through, get your CDL, and go cross country, man. Y'all just run a truck 24/7. You can just stack money doing it.
It's an industry that is definitely understaffed.
Yes, and there's currently a big issue. People are worried about these automated trucks. Tom
Pinoy put out a video. I didn't watch it, but he was talking about automated trucks on one of his videos in the last couple of days. And he does trucking, some type of trucking, I think.
Yeah, he's a beer truck. He's a beer delivery truck.
Yeah.
I think he stocks corner stores and stuff with beer. But I mean, look, commercial trucking is commercial trucking. But if you really want to make money on the road, team driving, cross country, everyone I know who does it, it's miserable, but man, they make money.
There was a renaissance in truck driving. Did you ever remember that movie Over the Top with Stallone?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a truck driver. He was out there arm wrestling at different stops, and
driving down the road and just pumping it. Yeah.
Jesus, that was the height of the trucking industry, by the way.
Yeah. The early 80s, late 70s. Yeah, good times.
So anyway, back to this story, talking about trucking and with some of that background, knowing that there is definitely a short staff of drivers to do that. I guess that would lead some companies maybe to cut corners in order to fill some of those positions. Jason,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, easily. And look, a lot of the deals. So this guy was driving large vehicles over in India and whatever. I don't know how many of y'all have done international travel, but street signs are pretty much street signs. They all have the same shape. There's pretty much international shapes and colors that are used worldwide. So if you could drive in one country, chances are you could drive in most of them. So when I was reading this, he could only accurately identify 1 to 4 highway traffic signs.
Yeah.
And
then he also provided correct investigators administrated English language proficiency assessments to the driver of the semi who killed 3 people in Florida. He provided correct responses to just 2 of 12 verbal questions. And of course, what you just mentioned, only accurately identified 1 of 4 highway traffic signs.
So I've been to India. This is garbage. I guarantee you he's proficient in English because India used to be a British colony. People are still taught English to this day. Even the lower leveled people, they all speak English. Their traffic signs pretty much do look the same. Their highway signs are a little different, but it doesn't take long to learn what a mile marker looks like, what an exit sign looks like, things like that. I think he was just playing the dumb foreigner when the FBI, when the investigators were talking to him, because dumb foreigner, ha ha ha. You can't hold me responsible. I don't buy this.
No, I don't buy if it's act, I don't buy it. But second of all, not knowing he tried to do a U-turn from the very far lane, the far right lane, cutting across 3 lanes of traffic into those official use turnabouts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
where the cops typically sit and wait for you to speed. Anyway, that's where he tried to do a U-turn. Obviously, you cannot do a U-turn there.
No,
and especially in a semi on a busy highway. If you guys have ever visited Florida and have traveled our interstate system kind of sucks. I-75 and I-90 are the ones two that go up the sides of the state, and it's not nearly efficient enough about with the amount of people we have inside the state.
You need a middle one because what is it? 90 runs on the west coast on the
95,
Gulf side.
yeah, 95 is on the west
and
coast.
75 is on the east side.
East coast. And then you have I-10 that cuts across the Panhandle. And then you have the adjacent highways like Highway 41, 301 that are north and south. As well, but those cut you through this, towns and cities.
And I mean, it really isn't all that bad up until you get around Tampa, Orlando area.
It's actually bad in northern Florida as well. I was traveling the other day and it was bad.
So I remember traveling from I was using I-10 to go down to Orlando. The first time me and the wife went down to Disney World, we drove. We hit I-10 and going all the way to Tallahassee wasn't bad. And when we turned south, I believe it was on 95 heading down to Orlando. It wasn't bad until you got around Ocala. Ocala is about the mark where you really started seeing it getting bad. Like Central Florida is really bad. Now, Tallahassee to Jacksonville, a bit sketchy, not going to lie. But nowhere near as bad as Central Florida. My goodness.
It is bad. Anyway, so these lanes of traffic are heavily commuted, and making that type of turn on the highway, no person in their right mind would have done that.
No.
Obviously this guy either missed his exit and thought that, the best way to get back there would be cutting through the highway instead of traveling to the next exit north of him, and then making that turnaround there. Instead, he tried to cut through traffic, and the guy looks so unremorseful, Jason, in the video when you see him look over and see the minivan crash into underneath the trailer park, killing 3 citizens of the nation there. No remorse whatsoever. And even when they're taking the bodies out, I'm not going to show the video, but when they're taking the bodies out from underneath the trailer, he just stone face, man. Stone face. Just no emotion.
You got to think, though, and this could be a cultural thing. Over there in India, there's so many people. There's actual disdain amongst other people because there's too many people in cramped areas. It's a cultural thing. You got to understand that people from non-Western cultures, they have a different outlooks on the value of human life.
The only outlook I want to see on this guy is the outlook when he's in the electric chair. That is the only outlook I want to see.
Let's be honest, they're not going to do that to him. They're probably going to put him. They're probably going to give him. They're going to give him a trial, and then the judge is going to release, regardless of what the jury says, because that is our justice system today. Because he is totally an immigrant, and we have to be empathetic to those people because, who's going to clean our toilets, Frank? Who's going to pick the cotton? Who's going to clean the toilets? You don't want to do that job, do you?
With this being in the state of Florida, though, I believe there may be some justice more so than releasing the guy. Maybe he doesn't get the electric chair, but he gets put away for a very long time.
I mean, if it happens around Tampa, I'll press X it out.
Yeah, I don't believe it was around Tampa.
Yeah, if they're gonna try him around Tampa or Miami, I would believe that they would probably put him out on ROR,
Yeah.
Just truck driver is Sikh. That's okay. I don't know enough about the religions. I don't care if it's not Christianity. It doesn't count in my eyes. So, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, this guy surely should be obviously removed from the roads and sitting in a prison cell for a while. If there's any type of justice. Yeah, I didn't say it was California.
Yeah, no, saying.
I see what.
I'm saying if it's around the more liberal area of Florida, he'll get away. Florida is a purple state. It is not a red state.
We are red, sir.
Okay.
The last few elections, sir. If you have not noticed, we are red.
So
we defeated. We defeated the marijuana.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's because old people don't like it, because they still remember, the wacky tobacco.
We also defeated the abortion bill too.
Well, I mean, that actually surprised me. I'm not gonna lie.
So not as purple as you think. Maybe a light shade.
Yeah,
but not as purple as you think.
Little magenta. It's not red. It's not red like
I know.
Oklahoma.
I know we're not Oklahoma. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I know we're not Oklahoma.
Here, all my Oklahomies, they I mean, look, we banned the transes, everything's. We banned abortion, all abortion. You can't even get a medical necessity abortion based. Just what? You're pregnant? Okay.
You'll have a baby in 9 months. In 9 months. So, Sparky, there was another story that I saw, Jason, come down the line. We kind of talked a little bit about this last Saturday, talking about the actions taking place possibly in Central America. And this Trump deploys 3 U.S. Aegis guided missile destroyers near Venezuela to combat drug threats, arriving within 36 hours. What's your take?
Sure. I would prefer you send the Coast Guard out there because that's their job. But if you're going to send
the Coast Guard have cool ships like that, though?
Well, they don't have ships with as much armament, but they don't need it against drug dealers. But if they want to use the U.S. Navy for it, that's fine. Let's just not put American soldiers' boots on the ground. I mean,
there was some conversation about that today as well. I don't know if I picked that story up or not.
Yeah, you sent me something about
I did,
they
didn't
said
I?
yeah, something with Marines, 4,000 Marines, which I'm like, oh no, they're sending a MU down there. Then
Yeah, I did send that to you. Let me go ahead and take this off here real quick and pull the other story up for everybody because
yeah,
so
because
that
if
way
they're sending a MU down there, that is insane.
I sent that to you,
Um,
didn't I not? Yeah, here we
yeah,
go. All right, this is from the press conference earlier today. This was what's her name? Caroline Leavitt, the press
yeah,
secretary.
cooking with Carolyn. Yeah,
Yeah. So let's go ahead and just listen to her and then we'll talk real quick.
The 3 U.S. warships that are being sent to Venezuela, and there's 4,000 Marines on board. Are you looking at possibly boots on the ground there?
What I will say with respect to Venezuela, President Trump has been very clear and consistent. He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. And Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country. And with
That wasn't a no, Sparky.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't. But
Obviously,
notice she didn't address the 4,000 Marines.
Yeah, she did not address that.
And I don't know where they got that information from. The only thing I've seen is that they're sending those 3 destroyers, which I'll be honest with you. Those 3 destroyers are enough to destroy most of Venezuela just by themselves. The amount of firepower on those things is terrifying. But if they brought 4,000 Marines, that means that they're bringing an LHD or an LHA down there, and that means they have an MEU, a Marine Expeditionary Unit, going out there.
So it's like a detachment or something.
It's like your own little army that
Okay.
you can just send wherever in the freaking world to do whatever. And for those of you who don't understand why they use the Marines, it's because the Marines you don't have to get approval from Congress. The Marines are the only branch of the military that carry out the orders of the president directly.
I did not know that, Sparky.
Yeah. The president says, you guys go invade there. They don't have to wait for congressional approval. They go, yes, sir, 3 bags full, and they go do it. Where the Army and the Navy and the Air Force and stuff, we all have to look at Congress and go, okay, we can do this, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're doing it, but we got to get the nod from Congress, where the Marine Corps doesn't. The Marine Corps are the president's bullies. And so
let me ask you this question, maybe because maybe most Americans might not know how frightening, as you mentioned, 3 destroyers are. Like, for example, the capabilities of 3 destroyers, you said, would be able to subdue a country like Venezuela, for example.
Oh yeah, easily.
And a detachment of 4,000 Marines.
4,000 Marines could take over a small country by themselves.
I don't believe Americans quite understand the superior training and firepower that we possess.
Well, see, the thing that gets in the way of the United States military are these things called international laws. If we would just do what most of the world does and ignore them, there would be nothing that could stop us. But no, we try to fight on a more higher level of moral ground, more lawful means. But that's got more Americans killed than it has done anything else. And that's why since World War II, we've been on a perpetual losing streak. Yes, we lost we're at a standstill in Korea. We lost in Vietnam. We won Gulf War I, but we didn't really do anything other than bomb people and run people off. Gulf War II, we lost. Iran won. In Afghanistan, the goat lovers won. So and this is American combat vet here. We do a lot of things. We do a lot of initial winning, but we end up losing the actual war because we either set new goals that make no sense, or we stay too long and we get the people against us, and just little dumb things like that. We did it right in World War II. We actually helped mold the culture of Japan and Germany. but we didn't really do much to mold the culture of Afghanistan. That's why
Or Iraq.
that's why Afghanistan fell within 3 days of us announcing that we were going to leave. And Iraq, we weren't. We talked about winning the hearts and minds, but we didn't do it the right way. You got to understand, different cultures require different ways of being handled. In places like the Middle East, you want to win their hearts and minds. You blow their head off, and their heart will follow. And you look at them and say, if you'd like to be like this person, continue doing what you're doing. And they listen. Fear works well over there.
Well, that's all they know.
Yeah. So you got to speak their language.
Yeah.
But our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, we're moral people overall, and we don't want to be that way.
Mm.
But it's been to our detriment. If you look at you look at, especially like in Iraq, we saw a lot of problems against ISIS-K and things like that, because they were using what works.
Right.
I'll take this Skillcraft, this Makita drill or whatever, and I'm going to drill into your kid's head, and you're going to listen to me. Or, you go over to the American, it's going to be like, hey man, look, we're going to give you water and food. They're going to listen to the guy with the drill.
Yeah.
Because they're going to affect the family a lot more.
Mm.
Things like that. It is horrible. We shouldn't have been there. What's up, chicken? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, it's I think we could have some, if we were to invade, which I don't say there's any reason for us to invade Venezuela at all. But if President Trump decided to invade Venezuela and we were to depose Maduro and we were to take it over, we would lose the war. We would lose the war 100%. We would initially win. We would kick out all the bad people, but the problem is their culture is so filled with corruption, and it's so accepted there that us playing by the rules would work against us.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in us doing anything beyond protecting our borders, protecting our sovereign waters. We can track planes leaving Venezuela flying this way. So there's your air logistic deal there. We can do the same thing on the sea. We can track boats and those little mini submarines and stuff they have. We can track all that. And when they get into our waters, then we can deal some damage to them.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be doing this out in their sovereign territories, things like that. That's just where I am. I mean, we want to do that on the international waters, sure.
Yeah. I asked you these questions because you have background and experience.
Yeah, well, I just have a big deal about sovereignty.
Yeah.
The biggest problem that we have is that we've basically given up our national sovereignty over the years with allowing for porous southern border, with not enforcing our waters and our airspace properly. We need to lock the hell down. We need to do what the Trump administration is doing right now. He has shut down the land bridge from the south. Okay. He has shut down the southern border.
Now it's huge.
It's huge. It's the greatest. Everyone's talking about it. I want all 7 swing states. It's great on that deal. Now, if he could do that with our waters, if he could do that with our airspace, amazing. And hey, listen, Canada, you bunch of frostbacks. I don't want none of y'all coming across my borders either. I want 0 crossings.
That's awesome.
I don't want any freaking crossings coming from the north either. I'm not saying I want to shut us off from the world. I just want to be really highly scrutinizing those who are allowed to come into our country.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's, perfect response to that, because I know many people are talking about or maybe not. Let me restate that. I don't think there's a lot of people talking about this story for whatever reason. It's kind of flying under the radar as far as our actions within the Caribbean and in the Gulf of America there, and dealing with Venezuela. I guarantee you,
because it's not sexy.
The average voter has no idea.
Yeah.
About the whole Venezuela issue, because
it's not sexy. Okay. Until we actually do something, until we go kinetic, no one cares. And the reason why you're not hearing anything about Mayorkas, our skies today, is because he was acting under the authority of the potatoes. Okay.
The potatoes.
Former president, also known as the potatist, Biden, decided to not enforce laws, which is his prerogative.
He's the
So
commander in chief, the chief
Yeah.
executive.
So
Enforcing the
the-
laws falls under the president.
the things that Mayorkas did to allow all these illegal immigrants in and stuff is completely well and good, because it was under that administration that they decided that they were not going to enforce those laws. I think there should be provisions passed through Congress that makes it mandatory for the executive to enforce the laws on the books. If they actually did that, and I believe President Trump would be the one who would sign that into law and state, yes, that makes sense. The legislative branch decides to create this law and they pass it, and I agree with it and sign it, or any president agrees to and signs it, there should be legal ramifications for future administrations to have to enforce those laws. What's the point of passing these laws if you can have an executive branch, a president, come in and go, no, we're not gonna enforce those. Why? Because how's my family from Kenya gonna come over here? I'm just, we've got to be resolute in the fact that we should be enforcing the laws, because if we are the democracy that everyone pretends we are, and we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic. But if you want to play the democracy thing, the people voted these individuals in for a job. When those people do that job, those jobs should have ramifications. There should be something to it. So when the legislative branch makes a law and passes it, and the sitting elected president signs it into law, then that should have long-lasting, impactful, meaning. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, and I agree with that. As far as being able to impact further administrations that refuse to pass law or to enforce laws that are already passed on the books. Hey, Jason, I know you got to get rolling here in just the next couple of minutes. I just appreciate you answering the question for our guys today.
Oh, yeah. No, it's so here's the deal. A lot of people don't understand why things happen in this country. The basics is this: we don't understand. We don't teach our people, our citizens, actual civics, and that's the problem. Or what we teach you in civics in our schools is the very minimum. I believe that every American citizen should have the same knowledge, basic civic knowledge, that we expect from a foreigner trying to get a green card, trying to become a citizen. Because if you actually talk to those people, they know a lot because they have to study this stuff. We need to get back to teaching our children things like basic civics, how our government works. We need to teach them things like how to budget. We need to teach them home economics. We need to teach them trades.
All those
Frank,
things you mentioned are like a semester long in high school for all the kids.
Like you were talking, Sharon had you doing something before the show. Hey, that's great. I had to fix a toilet this weekend. Guess what? I didn't learn that shit in high school. I didn't learn that in any school. My father taught me that. Do you know how many people can't even do basic plumbing? We should be teaching this stuff to our children. That way they could save themselves some money. We can become more self-dependent, right? And that's what right now we spend more time teaching our children how to do shift work. Yeah. Think about it, Frank. Your
school
son
is basically shift work.
Yeah. Your son, he literally goes to class, a bell rings, he goes to lunch, a bell ring, he goes back to class, a bell ring, he goes to another class. Yep. We're just teaching him how to be factory workers. And your average high school graduate in America graduates with an 8th grade reading level and a 6th grade mathematics level. Okay, there's a problem there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Andrew
Yeah.
Justice, just echoed what you were just talking about here.
Yeah. And look, I have two trades. I'm an electrician, and I am what they call a non-destructive inspector, non-destructive tester. So I can do X-rays and ultrasounds on structures, looking for cracks, defects, voids and welds, things like that. Um, but my father was a pipe fitter. He was a plumber. I learned some of that stuff from him. I learned some of that stuff, but people don't want to learn that stuff because our teachers are telling children, well, you got to go to college to be successful. I was successful before I got my degree. I got a degree because I thought that's what you needed to do. It turns out I'll never use either of my degrees, and I have two. I mean,
Yep.
education is important, but there's more to education than just being able to sit in class and write reports. You need to be able to interpret what you're reading. You need to be able to understand how the world works and operate within the parameters of that world.
Yeah. Yeah, and all those things are important to be able to function. Even like you said, to be able to save just a little bit of money if you're able to do a few of these types of tasks on your own. You go to the local hardware store or whatever and purchase the materials that you need to accomplish the goals. And what you save, you spend just a little bit in the materials, but you save in labor because that's where they get you. Majority of time if you call someone to come out to take care of one of these issues that we're talking about.
Yeah, and so I took a picture and I sent it to one of my buddies who's a plumber, and he wrote me back. He's like, if you can't figure this out, dude, I don't know what to tell you. I went, cool. So I just figured I'd go work the damn thing. Okay, I spent $30 on materials. I spent about an hour and a half actually doing the work. Now I did spend about maybe an hour here and there looking at, hey, what if these problems show up and things like that? Okay, yeah, I looked that stuff up on YouTube. This platform, YouTube, Rumble, all these other ones, wealth of information. There's also a wealth of misinformation on there as well. But you have to be able to cipher that out. But there's a lot of information. If you can't figure things out today, when these idiot boxes here that we carry around, these phones, we have more computing power in the palm of our palm or our pocket than 10
all of human history.
10 lunar landers. Okay, literally the moon. If you believe that we actually put people on the moon, they basically, their computers were the essential. Remember those watches in the 80s that had the calculators on it?
I do.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they landed on the moon with. But for some reason, with all this new technology, we can't do it. I
don't know.
Riddle
me this, Batman.
Exactly. But Frank, thank you, man. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you all for listening to me rant. Y'all have a wonderful night. Good night, and God bless.
See you, Jason.
Later.
That was our good friend Jason joining us for tonight's show. Again, we'll be broadcasting again Thursday and on Saturday. I'm going to try to squeeze in a few other live streams throughout the week, maybe in the early afternoon, late morning hours throughout the week. Try to get a couple more of these in here because there's so much information that's being put out there every single day. It's hard to just pack that all into one or two videos for one afternoon. If I were to do that, those videos would be over like 25 minutes long, and nobody's going to want to sit down and watch a 25-minute long video. And so I do my best to try to catch the highlight ones that I think, have the most potential to be able to resonate with the viewers on this channel, and really trying to seek to be able to do my best and curate what other type of stories we want to cover here as well. There's a lot of stories. Obviously, there's so much news every single day. You could pack, anybody that does this could pack a full day show and still not be able to catch everything. So do my best to catch what I can with you guys, and I appreciate all you guys that stick with me. And guess the best way to help us in the channel is hit that like button, subscribe button, and share the content. If you're able to go above and beyond that, you can look at membership. That helps the channel out tremendously. Keep the lights on this side, or of course, super chatting also helps. And there's other numerous ways that you're able to help the channel out if you have the means to do so. So I do appreciate all of those things. We're going to wrap up ourselves here as well for tonight. I will see you guys back here Thursday. I'll look into maybe doing a late or early afternoon stream maybe tomorrow. But again, I have to see how that all works out scheduling wise. But outside of that, I appreciate all of you guys. I'll see you guys Thursday for sure, maybe tomorrow. All right. God bless everybody. Have a great and wonderful evening.